Welcome into an edition of Warchant TV, Recruiting Edition. I'm Azan Hajavandi, joined by recruiting analyst for Warchant.com and Rivals.com, Michael Langston, who just astutely pointed out to me that I still have the Willie Taggart poster behind me. We're doing some changes over here as well. We'll figure it out one of these days. Michael, thanks for joining us, man. Let's jump right to it. Obviously, the decommitment story is up on Warchant.com with a lot of your thoughts and feelings on Jeff Sims and his decision to reopen his recruitment. I guess maybe walk us through what the last kind of 48 hours or 72 hours has been for Jeff Sims and where we kind of stand right now.
Well, I think he was shocked. I mean, I think the gist I get was, now he hasn't talking right now, but I think the feeling I get and people that have talked to him is that he was shocked when, what we talked about the other night is, about the in-home visit. And I think he was excited going in that visit, but I think, as I mentioned the other day at Wake Up Warchant, I just don't think the fit was there between the two. I don't think they felt it was going to be a good fit, and I think a lot of people are upset. But what I would say is, like, I have a lot. I don't even know Norvell. I haven't even met Norvell yet, but I have a lot of respect that he was willing to go in there in person to tell the longest one of the bell cows of the class that about this straightforward to his face and be genuine. And it kind of speaks to what I've heard about Norvell, that he's very genuine, straightforward, and he told him it would be tough. From what I hear, he said that it would be tough for him to play at FSU as far as what his skill set he brings. And so now I think Jeff will focus on Georgia Tech and Maryland. I think those are the two teams that he'll be down to, and I don't know which way that'll go. Could go either way. I would lean more towards Georgia Tech just because he's visited there a few more times. It's closer to home. Jeff Collins is a really good coach, knows his stuff. Obviously, he's trying to turn around that Georgia Tech program, but I think that's kind of where he's at. And I think he was surprised. That's kind of the gist I get from people I talked to that had direct conversations with Jeff Sims, and they feel that he was surprised. But at the same time, this is a Willie Taggart recruit. This is not a Mike Norvell recruit. As much as Jeff has been awesome with the bell cow and everything, this was not Mike Norvell's recruit. But at the same time, he understood the respect that he did it in person to let him know, to be honest and straightforward. Because he could have just took him and said, okay, we'll figure it out, and then he'll be in the transfer portal, and then bam, you're doing that. I think what he's doing is he's thinking of Jeff, but he's also thinking of Florida State. And I think that's the big takeaway I got from it.
Let me ask you this, Michael. As I pull up the tweet that he put out there, I'll kind of read it out. It says, first of all, I thank God for all the doors he has opened up for me and for the blessing me with the talent to play the sport I love. After much prayer and thought, at this time I feel that it is in my best interest to decommit from FSU. FSU will still be an option for me, but I am reopening my recruitment for this final week. No interviews. He's going to sign 9 a.m. Wednesday at the auditorium in Sandalwood High School. If it's not a good fit, why would Florida State still maybe be an option for him? I mean, do we know for sure? Was he told he's not a good fit, or are we kind of piecing some things together?
No, I think that's just recruit speak. I think he's being polite. I don't think and FSU is an option that they didn't tell him, hey, Jeff, we're pulling your scholarship. Now, if he wants to go there, but they made it clear, like, hey, it's going to be really difficult for you to play at FSU, as far as what we run and what we do. And he kind of left it at that. They didn't go in there and tell him, no, Jeff, we're dumping you right now. We're moving on. We're not even, they didn't do that, but they made it clear, like, it's going to be difficult for you to play here. So I think Jeff's being polite, but at the same time, I trust everything I've heard that, people with direct conversation with Jeff that, they didn't feel that he would be the whole gist of it was they didn't feel he would be a good fit for this system. So I think that's Jeff being, very polite.
He moved up to a 4-star, number 15 dual threat quarterback. I was kind of under the belief that it seemed like he had maybe blossomed into a better thrower, a better passer. It feels like if he's not a good fit for Mike Norvell's offense, it's probably he wants somebody that's more traditional pocket passer, pro-style kind of guy. Did Jeff make strides in his senior year that would make you feel like he could probably fit into any kind of offense? I just felt like he was pretty multifaceted, and regardless of who was going to be calling plays or coaching the offense, they'd want a guy with his skill set.
Well, I think if you followed his season, the one thing I will say is like he was dynamic. He can certainly make all the throws, but the consistency of making the easy throws sometimes wasn't there. He had missed some throws that he shouldn't probably miss, and then he would throw into double coverage occasionally, where he's trying to fit it in that tight window because he's got such a good arm. So I think a lot of times he would try to do that, and then also I think it's just a consistency passing. And if you look at his numbers, I mean, he only threw for 300 yards in one game all year. I mean, we controlled the stats all year for our Friday Night Rewind. I mean, I controlled the stats all year, and I think he only passed for over 200 yards maybe twice. So it kind of tells you that there's concerns there as far as consistency. Interception stuff didn't bother me. I mean, he had some games where he had a few interception turnovers, but I think it was the consistency of passing, and maybe that's something that Norvell spotted when he evaluated and watched his film and studied him, and probably studied a lot of games when he had game film, and he saw some inconsistencies with his passing game. But if you watch Memphis and what they do and in their offense, the quarterback is very accurate. The ball placement is very impeccable. I mean, it's right on the money. It's got to be consistent, and I think he had a problem with the consistency of Jeff throw. It doesn't mean Jeff's crap and he's sorry. I mean, it just means that he may be better fit for an offense that's more spread like and more read option stuff where the quarterback runs the ball more and stuff like that. With Norvell's offense, the quarterback's more of a threat to run, but most of the time they don't run the quarterback. It's more just different ways to utilize your offense. But I think he wants a quarterback that's mobile. He would like a quarterback that's mobile, but I don't think it was necessary for him to have somebody that has to run it like 20 times, or has to be a Lamar Jackson. I think he's looking for somebody that can throw first. And it kind of makes sense when you look back at this whole thing, that the inconsistencies of Jeff throwing the ball, senior year, based on what I saw, there was times where he threw the ball really well. There's inconsistencies, but I think when you look back at that, it kind of makes sense. Obviously, FSU just offered Tate Rodemaker. He's from Valdosta, Georgia. I actually have seen Tate play several times. Very good quarterback. Kind of fits exactly what I'm talking about, that he's very consistent, can make all the throws, very heady guy, but also can run a little bit. He's mobile. So I think this kind of speaks to what kind of Norvell's looking for. It's even faster, and a little bit faster if you go by 40 times. I think Jeff runs 4.8 and he runs a 4.6. He's committed to South Florida right now, but I think it kind of speaks to the type of quarterbacks that he wants to see. And I don't think it was certainly you never want to do this and get to this position, but at the same time, I think you have to get the right guys of what you're going to run in the right fits, and you have to be sold on that. And I just don't think he was sold on Jeff being able to do that.
I have Tate Rodemaker's profile pulled up right now for the folks at home. Pro style quarterback, 6'4", 195 from Valdosta, as you said, committed to USF. But obviously USF with their coaching change, Jeff Scott taking over for Charlie Strong, perhaps that opens the door for Florida State. So as we segue to this, I guess obviously the next question naturally, Michael, is where does Florida State go from here? In addition to Tate Rodemaker, is Cade Renfro an option? It seems to be a real good bond with Kendall Browse, who will not most likely be here. So is he an option, or are there any other names that you're hearing?
Well, I think he's an option. I think he's a guy that will pursue. They would like to get 2 or 3 quarterbacks in this class. That's the kind of feeling I've gotten. And then I think another guy to keep an eye on is 4-star quarterback Robbie Ashford. He just decommitted from Ole Miss last night, which ironically is when we put up our update, for Jeff Sims after that in-home visit. So I thought that was interesting, but not that I'm tying the two, but it's just kind of one of those tea leaves type thing. It was just interesting. Maybe it means nothing, maybe it does, but Robbie has a relationship with the new offensive coordinator, Dillingham. I think he has a relationship there. Auburn offered him, so he knows them really well. And a few people I've talked to say that FSU was really a school that Robbie was high on, but I don't know if he was sold on just what Taggart's doing or what Taggart was running. But now that they have a guy that he has a really connection with, I mean, this is the first guy that they have a real connection with, Dillingham. I think that obviously alters things, and I think there's a decent possibility you see Ashford visit FSU at some point. But I think that's a name to really focus on. Those three are really the names I would say right now that I have. I think there'll be more. Luke Doty from South Carolina is committed to South Carolina. He's another one that I know Dillingham has a relationship with, so I'd throw him in the mix as well. There might be even more, but I can say when you do this, this is my experience talking. When you do this, as far as telling a quarterback commit that, hey, I don't think you're fit, you already have a plan. You might already have a guy, one guy in mind that you can get, or you have gotten, or you feel comfortable that you're going to get. So I think knowing Norvell and what we've heard, that he's very sharp, he's very detailed, organized. So I would imagine that he's kind of planned for this for a little bit to what his plan is and what he's going to execute in that plan. So I don't think this was just out of the blue. I think it was something that he probably did a lot of planning for, and understood that it wasn't going to be an easy situation, but it's still a business, and you have to have your guys in there. There's a lot of people ticked off on Warchant last night. We have, I think it's like 12 pages now about Jeff Sims and what we were hearing last night. But the thing I would tell them is, it's like, everyone's like, oh, you should just take him because he's a 4-star and he's a great athlete and you should just take him. It's like, what good are you doing the kid if you're taking a kid that's going to eventually transfer anyway? You're not helping both parties. I understand what people are saying. They need quarterback, and they got to sign a quarterback this year, and they know that. They're going to sign one, probably going to sign 2, if not more than that. But at the same time, you have to be fair to all the parties involved. You can't just be selfishly thinking, oh, we need a quarterback, and knowing that this guy doesn't fit your system. I would think it was very commendable, and I think he showed he was a grown man that he did that. I mean, that he went in there, and it showed the type of man he is, that he was honest with Jeff and said, hey, here's the deal.
See, you interact with these kids so much, so you understand the dynamics at play. I think a lot of fans probably are like me and are, hey, if you're going to hurt people's feelings, you hurt people's feelings. Nick Saban and Dabo Dabo's recruiting number one quarterback after number one quarterback every single season, so somebody is going to leave and be upset, and that's just kind of the price of doing business. But obviously Clemson and Alabama are a little higher up on the mountain right now, so they can probably get away with it. Florida State maybe not as good of a look. So those are some of the names that Michael has talked about. Luke Doty, a 4-star quarterback from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, that Michael mentioned that we popped up there on the screen. So last thing before we go here, Michael, I mean, this weekend coming up, can it be understated or overstated, I guess, really, just how important of a weekend this is going to be for Florida State moving forward to be able to get, I don't know, a dozen, maybe even more official visitors on campus?
Yeah, we're right now sitting at, I got 17 official visitors, and who knows if that grows even larger. I feel comfortable about those guys that we've listed, that they're likely to be there, but I think it's a massive weekend, because this is your first chance to interact with this guy. It's your first chance to, we haven't talked about this much, but this is the first chance for these kids, especially offensive recruits like Malachi Weidman, Dejon Edwards, Cartier Boatwright, even the offensive lineman, and your Lawrence Toafili, those guys, this is their first chance to meet Dillingham, the offense coordinator. So, I mean, that's a big deal, and you got to see the connection. And then a lot of it's going to be so big to see how these recruits are be able to connect with Norvell, kind of what they're going to do, because this is going to be new to me, because we don't know how they're going to organize everything. We do know that Norvell's very organized, so what they do and the plans they do with these kids is going to be interesting to see what the kids say, what they did on the official visits, and the kind of things that went on. And but the thing I'm going to be looking for is the connection that these recruits have with Norvell, and their feelings about the vision and plans of what FSU wants to do. So yeah, it's you can't unscore it. It's a massive weekend, with December 18th coming up as the early signing day. So I think it's going to be a big deal to really make a big splash. And I'm going to say I think that there's going to be a lot of positive feelings coming out of this weekend. I think Norvell's probably going to knock it out of the park based on knowing his history and knowing the connection he's able to develop with
If
players.
you're not a member of Warchant.com, use the promo code SAVE50FSU. Gets you half off an annual membership. SAVE50FSU. Go on the Premium Recruiting Board. Check out all of Michael's hard work. You'll have a updated recruiting list, visitors list as we get closer to this ever important recruiting weekend. Michael, thanks for your time, man.
You got it.